Hi, folks. How is everybody doing? So, today I want to close this discussion that I was having about the Manosphere. And I wanted to give people resources to study further so that they can make up their own damn minds about this matter. This is for people who good faith actors, good faith inquirers who are curious about what is the hullabaloo about this issue, who are curious about what are the facts, what are the stats, what are the demographic information, survey studies, and the truth about these matters that have been discussed so much on these digital airwaves. These are not for people who want their prejudices to be confirmed and who are committed to the story of women being victims and men being the devil. So I'm going to put a link, I'm going to put a description below with of these sources, which are probably the most authoritative sources on this matter that anyone can find anywhere. And I'll just have to say, have an open mind. I know that this issue of having open mind is such a overused phrase now, and also it is so difficult for people who are committed to a certain narrative to have those narratives challenged. It's not just about on this issue. I mean, on various issues, a lot of people would rather be insulated from the truth than have their assumptions challenged, because a lot of people have based their entire existence on certain narratives. And this can go into political parties, political differences, differences on ideology. So instead of people educating themselves and getting the facts of a matter, they rather insulate themselves from the truth. And I hope that for your own sake, that is not the case for you. There are a few works of literature, if I'm going to call it that I'm going to recommend to you. That if you read these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you should have more than enough to verify the claims of the Manosphere and the men rights activists. I'll start by a work that was released in 1986, a book. These are all books. Why Men Are the Way They Are, a book by Warren Farrell, 1986. The Myth of Male Power, 1993, book by Warren Farrell. Women Can't Hear What Men Don't Say, a 1998 book by Warren Farrell. And I must also say that this guy, Warren Farrell, has probably been responsible and credited for almost most of the claims that are made in the men's rights movement. And his work is indispensable, and without it, there is probably no men's rights movement. And he wrote these books in the 80s and 90s when feminism was basically the gospel. There was no YouTube at the time where people could share their views. No one could have a show on any television to share the views that are contrary to the claim that men are the devil and women are victims. And it also must be said that Warren Farrell in particular identifies as a feminist, and he rose into prominence in the 70s as a feminist. And he worked at New York City's board of National Organization for Women, which is one of the leading women's organization because of his commitment to the upliftment of women's rights. And it is through this work that he was doing with the National Organization for Women that he realized that some of the claims that he was holding so dear were just not adding up. And that is when he took a departure from it to start questioning some of these claims and did some research. He, if I'm not mistaken, he has a PhD, and he's been studying these matters for all of his life. He is 81 years old now. And no one can accuse this man of hating women or being a misogynist. This guy is a true feminist in the sense of believing in the equality of the sexes. He just realized that there were a lot of lies that were being told in the name of women empowerment and in the name of feminism. And then he wrote these books. And as soon as he started writing these books, which, if you go through these books, they have citations and fully properly referenced. You can verify the claims that are made in these books. But some of these books, obviously, they are old, so the data is outdated. But studies have been done later on in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, and late 2000s that have confirmed his claims that they are still true to this very day. And then the book also that I recommend would be The War Against Boys, which was released in 2000 by Christina, Hoff, Sommers, which a lot of people might have heard of. I mean, that book also was built on the shoulders of the work that was done by Warren Farrell. And one must notice that this book was written by a woman. And The War Against Boys, the full title is The War Against Boys, The Misguided Feminism, How Misguided Feminism is Harming Our Young Men. And then the last book that I would recommend was released in 2013 with more updated data, sources, references, which confirm what was being claimed by Warren Farrell in 1986 and 1993. Nothing has changed. Released by Helen Smith, titled Men on Strike: Why Men Are Boycotting Marriage, Fatherhood, and the American Dream, and Why It Matters. These are the books that I recommend to anyone who is really curious and have an open mind about these matters and who wants to know what is the truth about these matters. Cool. See you on the next one.